Welcome to What's Cookin'. I'm Deb.
And I'm Norma.
And today we're making
a tomato, leek, and goat cheese crostata.
Yum. It's so easy and so good.
So tasty. And the beauty of it is it's meant to be rustic. So that means you can make mistakes.
Yes, we always do.
Yes. Yes. All right, so we're going to use our food processor. This is 1 cup of flour. Adding 1/4 of a teaspoon of kosher salt. And now we're going to turn on the food processor. Okay, and shut it off. Okay, perfect. To this we're going to add butter. And this is 1 stick of cubed butter, and it's cold. So you got to keep it really cold in the fridge. Take it out at the last minute. If you haven't done that, then stick it back in the freezer and let it get cold.
Why does it have to be cold?
I don't know. They always say it must be cold. I think it has to do with the adhering to the flour and making the pastry dough. And so you don't want it to melt. So to this you see, I am now moving my fingers around. Be very careful to get it so that it's covered in flour.
Okay, now we put it on and
we'll pulse it about 20 times.
Okay.
More or less, till it looks like peas. All right, and there you can see what it looks like. So it looks like you can see little peas in there. Perfect, that's what you want to achieve. Next we're going to add water, and to this we're going to add, if you want to put the top back on, Deb, we're going to add 3 to 4 tablespoons of water. It's a lot by side. I have found that typically it's taking now 4, whereas before it was 3, and it's ice water. So Deb, you want to turn it on, pulse it. I'll do 3.5.
Yeah, it does look like peas.
Yeah, it's more and more coming to, okay. And then let's see how it feels. So you don't want it to get like dough when it's all combined. But what you want to do is put your hands in here and see how I'm able to do this, how I'm able to squish it down.
And it'll adhere to.
And it adheres. So now it's done. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put it here. And we're going to form a disc with all the dough.
Beat your drum.
And then we are going to wrap it into saran wrap. So you don't need to knead it and all of that other stuff. Just get it together. And Deb, can you get me some saran wrap?
Absolutely.
So again, a disc, and we're going to stick this in the refrigerator for 1 hour. Can you stick it in longer? Yes, you can. But minimum 1 hour, because you want it, again, for it to all come together. Get this down. Okay,
and you can make this the night before as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you don't have to wait until the last minute to do all this.
But you definitely need it to be chilled.
Yes, okay. We'll put this in the fridge, and now we'll move on to the next part of making this.
Absolutely. So now we're going to do the leeks.
Okay.
So the next part of this recipe are the leeks. So you can see this is a leek, for those of you who are not familiar. And so
it's like an onion, correct?
Yeah, it is. It's in that profile, definitely. Yeah. They're very dirty though. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this part off because we don't use
with your head.
We don't use the heavy green part. So we go with that, and we're going to cut the end off, and now we're going to slice it down the middle. Okay, and they're dirty. See right here, you can see dirt.
You can see, like if you show on here, if you bend it down, you can see like all this and through here. Yeah.
Nobody wants that in their food. So let's rinse this off. So the next part, we're going to slice it. So it could be like that, but I've already cut it this way, so it should go okay.
So like real small slices.
Exactly. So here we go.
And do you have to chop these anymore or no?
No. So it should be 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so the slicing has been done. You can see what it looks like. And now we're going to take it over to the stove and we are going to saute them for 8 minutes. Okay, to this we're going to add the leeks onto butter. So this was 1 leek. For this recipe though, you will use 4 cups of leeks, which is approximately 3 leeks. And you will use butter, a half a stick of butter. So you will put it in here, and as I said, you're going to saute it for about 8 minutes, and this will break apart. So while it's doing this, to this you're also going to add a pinch of pepper, like that, a pinch of salt, like that by eye, and then you can add either fresh thyme, which you will pull back the leaves like this. See how it's done? Like that. Or you can use dried thyme as well. So I'm doing this and adding it in here. Take that out. Stir it around, and as I said, we are going to let this saute for 8 minutes. So the next part are the tomatoes. So I am using the mandolin, which scares Debbie to no end.
And it's not the one you play.
No. So I'm going to show you how to use a mandolin. But if you don't have a mandolin, a sharp knife cutting it at 1/4 inches will work just fine. But for purposes of today, so you use your little safety device here. You see,
Never use your fingers.
no, because we know friends who have had
Chopped part of the tips off.
really bad. So I push this down so it's in there, and now I'm going to slice it down. It's important that you use ripe tomatoes, but that they're not too ripe. So you want them firm. So you can see there's still some left, but I want to show you what it looks like. It's all even, it's all perfect using the mandolin. So we're going to add that in here. And Debbie, if you can sprinkle some salt on there, and I will see if I can get the rest of this to finish through. We'll only go so far and then it stops, so that's it.
And don't try to use your finger to get the rest of it.
Yeah, I probably would do it if Debbie weren't next to me, but
And
she
you all
is.
weren't watching because she would do it, but don't.
I'm a professional at using the
And
mandolin.
this is a really professional mandolin. There's some plastic ones that you can get. And again, just be super, super careful. It's a very good tool, but it's a very dangerous tool.
But it's a very good tool. So
Do you want
now,
some pepper on there?
just a tad, just only on the red tomatoes.
Oh.
Okay, so to this I'm going to add olive oil. So you can see I've already cut tomatoes, and I've added some heirloom tomatoes and red tomatoes to this recipe. So with that, next let's check our leeks and see how they're doing.
Okay.
So these have been sauteing for 8 minutes, and you can see this is the consistency you want it to look like. So with this, then you're going to transfer it into a container, and you're going to let it cool down for as long as it takes, but at least 30 minutes. You can also stick it in your refrigerator to help it accelerate the cooling down, but you definitely do not want to put this hot mixture on top of what will be our dough. So we have taken the pastry dough out of the refrigerator where it's been for 1 hour. So the next process will be to roll it out. So if you can hand me the parchment paper. So what I've done is you want to roll it out to about 11 inches circumference. So what I've done is I've measured out with a pencil, using it and a ruler, 11 inches. So we're going to use the opposite side, not the side that has the pencil lead on it, but the opposite side. To this, we're going to lay it down. We'll add a little bit of flour underneath.
That's just so it won't stick.
Exactly.
And then you can put a little bit on your rolling pin.
Okay, so Deb, you want to do the
Sure.
honors of rolling that out?
So you see I put a little flour on there and away we roll. This is how we roll.
Yes, this is how we roll. So,
and in the beginning, it's a little hard. So you need some.
if it's too hard, let it sit for just a few minutes to come to room temperature, and that'll help. If it's sticking, you need to add more flour to the rolling pin.
Yes. Here we go. And even if it gets a little on there, it'll be okay. See, it's starting to go.
So, and if you saw how she started off, she started in the middle and rolling it out. Thank you, Deb. So that's why it helps having it measured out in advance. So we've got it good. So now we're going to take the leeks that have cooled down and we're going to put it in here. And you don't want it to go from edge to edge. So you're putting it in the middle.
Like making a pie.
And you're going to spread it out, leaving a couple of inches on the sides because we're going to fold that up. So let's see, that's plenty. I like to use my hands. I cook with my hands. I can feel the food. Okay. That looks pretty good. Okay, next we use 4 to 5 ounces of crumbled. And so I'm gonna move this around. It's crumbled goat cheese. Can you use other cheese? Yes, you can. I just love goat cheese. I like the flavor. I like the way it melts down. But you could probably use feta. And if you do use feta, hold back on some of the salt on the recipe. You can use Monterey Jack, etc. So
there's even orange goat cheese.
Ooh,
That would be really good.
that could be interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to start with the tomatoes and we're going to
Just layer.
layer them out.
And any way you do it is perfect.
It really is, because this, as we said, is rustic, so it's very, very forgiving. And in fact, you don't want it to look perfect. So you want it to have some little imperfections. How's that? Now, it's not perfect, but this is what you want it to look like. So then you bring up the sides and you're going to crimp it. So we're going to do this. And if it sticks, lift it up.
That's the beauty of parchment paper.
Lift up the parchment paper. Okay, bring it up and crimp it to hold it. If it breaks, don't worry, just with your fingers, get it to stick. And now we're going to take and do an egg wash. So 1 egg with 1 tablespoon of water, and mix it up like you're doing scrambled eggs. You're going to do this. It makes it beautiful. It gives it
a
golden sheen, and it helps kind of adhere things too. So we're going to go around. You don't want to use too much. You don't need too much. Just go around and put a gloss on it.
And we've had our oven set to 350, so we're going to put it into our oven. And how long do you cook it?
Well, you're going to do it for 25 to 30 minutes, but 450.
Oh, 450.
Not 350, so
Okay.
450.
You're going to heat that thing up.
We're going to heat it up. It's going to cook fast. So
Let's put this on a pan and we'll get it in the oven.
absolutely. All right. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so the crostata has been in the oven for about 25-30 minutes at 450. Let's pull it out and see what we have.
It smells delicious. Oh my gosh. Let me see if I put that thing. You want to take it off like that?
Okay, and then we're going to slowly pull it off. It's warm. If it's too hot, you need to let it cool down, because if you're going to pull it off, as we did, it might break apart. But you saw through the beauty of
Look how nice that looks.
So what we have here is basil, and we have thyme. So fresh basil and thyme. If you don't have fresh, I'm all for dried herbs. And we eat with our eyes, so we're going to what I call prettify it.
Okay.
So we're just ripping it up with our hands. Can you use a knife? Yes, you can, but it imparts better flavor this way if you use your fingers. It's more fun. I've also got some fresh thyme here. I've already worked and got it prepared here. So
Chopped up.
pulled it off the stems. So
That looks beautiful.
I could play with this all day trying to
Get each little one.
get each
But that's
one.
the beauty of this. It's rustic and you don't have to be perfect.
That's right. So there you have the tomato and leek and goat cheese crostata. Whoa! Come back!
Right to ya.
Come back, pony! Come back!
Well, let's cut into it and see how it tastes.
All right, so let's cut into this and see what we've got. As I said, it's warm.
And we can't wait for you to meet Will. He's our film director extraordinaire, and he just makes
Cameraman, director,
us everything. He
everything.
makes us look good.
Yes, he does. And that's not easy. Okay, so here you see. Okay.
What a perfect summer brunch or summer
yeah.
dinner or an early fall dinner with all the colors.
You can see it's warm. It's still oozing a little bit of the goat cheese. But yes, you can have this as we've assembled it here, or as you said, with any kind of green salad. And you can have it anytime. So
Bon appetit!
here we go.
So good.
I think it is the flavors come together. You taste the brightness of the tomato, and then you have the leeks,
Very savory. And
very savory, yes. And then
so
the goat
good.
cheese makes it so smooth.
And just another thought or an idea, if you don't like leeks, if you don't like certain things, use something else. If you have asparagus that's in your fridge, let's say you don't like onions, you could use complete mushrooms, anything else. It's a great dish. It's very versatile, and whatever you like, you can put in it.
Exactly.
Thank you for joining us for What's Cookin'.
Cookin'.